In this video, we're going to have a look at all the possible ways that this driver can find lap times around this circuit. So let's get started. So this appears to be turn 1. We seem to be using the track pretty well in the entry. If you ask me, we could have used a bit more. Now, it's not a very wide hairpin. It's not even a hairpin. So in that case, it doesn't really pay off that much to use a bit more track, but I would try to use a tiny bit more track here. I think it's definitely going to help if you could place your tires. You know, opening the corners up always pays off. So even though this is not a big deal, you probably won't gain even an 100, but I think it's going to open up this corner a little bit more if you're staying more to the right hand side. So let's keep going. All right, going through this section, the track usage on the exit is pretty good. I like it. Possibly we can run a bit more. We don't seem to be on the absolute limit. You know, seems like we are here maximum, but we could actually be a little bit more there, if you ask me. So, I mean, you know, there's a certain limit because after that it becomes dirty. I would say, like, if you take the last 5 centimeters, it becomes quite dirty. So I wouldn't use that. But actually, it's pretty good, the track usage. I mean, well done for using that much track. I would use a bit more if you ask me how I could improve. One thing though, I want to go back to the previous corner. So if you look at that, you know, there's a bunch of rubber over this curb. And if I would be racing over here, even though I don't know this track, but if I would have to be racing over here, I would try, because this curb seems to me relatively flat. I don't know about you, but this looks quite flat to me. So I would try to jump over this. All right, so you seem to be like with your left tire over here, like that's where you seem to be going towards. But I would try to place your left tire over here and see what happens. I mean, then you can try the extreme to be like that, but I mean, I would start step by step. So there was to be the first step, and that would be the final step. But to be honest, it looks quite flat. As I said, it looks pretty dark, so it must be a lot of people going over here, and so rubber has accumulated. So I would suspect this is going to give you better preparation for the next corner, because look, not only will you make less meters by going over here, but it seems to me that you're going to set up a bit more that corner over there. So I think you're gonna gain quite a bit of time over here, even though it's a flat out corner, which it seems like. Yeah, it seems like it's a flat out corner for you guys on the Tilson. Or maybe you're making a small lift. I can't tell exactly. Let me go through it once again. It seems to be flat. Yeah, it's flat, but I would still smash this curve. It's going to help you stay a little bit more to the left. For sure, you'll be able to stay close to the white line over there. This one is fine. The apex point is great. And yeah, so at the end of the day, by just smashing that curb on the left, as I mentioned, you're just gonna have less steering angle all the way through, you know. Yeah, you're gonna have less steering angle all the way through, especially here, and you will make less meters. So you'll make less meters there. You'll have less steering angle all the way here, so you're gonna ideally pick up a bit more speed. On the exit, the track is just pretty good. Maybe you could do a bit more. So now going into this, as it looks from the map, we have a pretty fast 90-degree right-hander that closes a bit. It looks like to me that we are doing a good job on the entry with the preparation. I can't tell exactly how much we have left. As I said, always I prefer to maximize the entry track usage as much as possible. I see there are some black marks here over the white line. We don't seem to be fully over the white line. So if you ask me, how can I find a little bit of extra time? I would try to place your tire right here, your left tire right here. And obviously keeping a couple of centimeters from the grass as a margin. Even though, don't worry, even if you clip it a bit, nothing major is going to happen. I mean, you may lose a little bit of rear, but I would try to push myself a little bit more to the left, opening the track a bit more, and that's going to make this corner quite a bit faster in the mid exit, because you will have a wider angle. Think about the opposite. If you were, I always make this game with, you know, with the drivers I work with, a baby race. You know, think about it. If you were here with your kart, would it be faster or slower in the mid exit of that corner? Well, I hope you reply that you're going to be slower, right? So try to maximize that. If you could maximize that, you're gonna have a better angle going into that corner. Whereas if you're currently like that, for example, like this, that's where you currently are. You're the yellow. If you're currently like that, you won't be able to carry the maximum speed you would be able to carry as in the blue case. Now it's all down to experimenting and finding the limits, and of course you have to figure out where the grip level is highest, because maybe you're opening up more but there's some dirt, so it's not really worth it. So it all comes down to you and feeling exactly on the track what's happening on a day-by-day basis. So for me, watching this video, I can tell you, like, we possibly have 20 centimeters of margin more to the left we can use to pick up the mid-exit speed of next corner, but it's up to you. Like, you have to figure it out on the track. Let's keep going. We hit the apex pretty well. Apex, I mean, the exit placement looks quite good. You're not fully using the track properly, but it's on purpose, so good job for that, because after you have to come back for this one. If you ask me about the braking, I don't feel like I don't hear a very loud braking. It's a small tap. Possibly we could brake a tiny bit later and a tiny bit harder, if you ask me. But from here onward, it's good. I like this line. Possibly I would use a bit more track. Like, I don't know exactly. Okay, we're almost per maximum now. I mean, from this angle, it's difficult to tell exactly how much left you have. If you have a tiny bit more, use a bit more, as it seems like a relatively flat curb to use. So yeah, I mean, if you have a little bit more space there, try to use that one too. All right, I want to see this one again. All right, so once again, we could stay a tiny bit more to the left, even though you did a better job here than the corner we mentioned before. I think we're closing out to the edge, because you guys remember, it's not just the white line, that it's the edge. In this case, you know, we have a tiny bit of extra, you know, so if you aim for the white line, there's always going to be a little bit of extra. Now, of course, there's a limit, because then it's like this track is not very consistent with the white line, so it's like going like this and it goes like that. It's quite strange what it does. So if you see, so I don't think you can exaggerate too much, but you could use a bit more and try to see the limits. Okay, that's always a great thing to do. I hear the braking a bit more here, so well done for that. That's good. Now, I don't know whether we have to be close to the apex in the specific corner where the grip is. Possibly we could be a tiny bit closer, but it's a pretty good job from your side. Track usage again is quite good. As I said, I don't know whether it pays off to go a bit more. You know, it seems to be like in this range, and there's all this extra track we could be using. Oops, I'm going over the logo there. Yeah, there's all this extra track we could be using. So with your left hand tires. So I mean, but I see that it then closes off quite sharply. So yeah, I wouldn't go fully wide, because this is, I think, a bit too dirty, and I think it's gonna ask you to make too much of a sharp comeback. And then obviously after we have a left-hander, you see here, so it's gonna kind of hurt you doing a bit too much distance, but possibly a bit more. So instead of where you are, like a tiny bit more, like that much maximum. Okay, I wouldn't go beyond that. Let's keep going. Now it's a pretty long left-hander coming up. Okay, not as long as I thought. Let's watch it again. Okay, here I see that we do not open up the track fully to the right. Now, I don't know really the reason for that, but I definitely encourage you to try to use more. I mean, that's where we seem to be now, but I kindly suggest you to try to use more. Just try to open up the track a bit more, and I'm promising you, when you do that, in the mid-exit phase of the corner, you will be able to be faster, for sure. And always remember what I said, think always in extremes. If instead of placing your cart here, this is like your cart, if instead of placing your cart there, you place it over here, what would happen? Would you be faster or would you be slower in the mid corner here? all right, this area. Well, I probably think you're saying you're gonna be slower. So always think in extremes and remember and think about what would happen if you would be able to place your car like that, like that. Right now, I'm not the best drawer in the world, but if you place your car a bit more to the right hand side, for sure you're gonna have a better mid-exit speed. Of course, it depends on the grip level here, but I think the grip level is quite consistent in this case. I can quite assume that. So I think here there's some margin for improvement. Seems to be quite good at the apex. Getting on the gas before the apex too. Track usage on the exit is pretty good. I think we could use a bit more. Even though it starts to get quite dirty here, you can see the stones on the right hand side, so I wouldn't use too much. Possibly I could be using a bit more, tiny bit. Let me see the apex point here. Yeah, we never quite really make the apex perfectly. We get close to the white line. We don't really get inside of the white line. If I had to race here, even though I don't know the track grip conditions, but I'll probably try to put the inside tire right here, and that's almost like gonna give you a little bit of extra grip. There's always like a groove, whereas I think we are putting our tire like on the white line right now. So yeah, I think we have a little bit of margin to the left hand side, just small bits here and there. Exit is fine. So looks like a left under 90 degrees corner. Again, possibly you could use a tiny bit more entry track. Okay, here is interesting. Now, yeah, I'm not a big fan of this section. I'll be honest with you. I think here there's a big chunk of time you can find. Now, if you ask me, I would try to smash this curb, but in the late apex curb, like so. This is what I would do. So instead of hitting the curb like that and point in that direction, I would try to hit the apex a bit later, so a bit like that, and try to point. So like try to smash the curb in this area, okay? And try to really keep then turning to the left, because then you have to prepare for the next corner. And I think this is going to give you quite a bit of entry speed as well as exit speed. Now, this looks to me pretty black, so it means lots of drivers are going over it. It means that I suspect it's usable. And if it's usable, you should use it too. It's gonna keep you more to the left, and believe me, well, you just have to try yourself, but I can confidently say that if you are able to place yourself in this area rather than where you are right now, which is this area, I'm pretty sure you're gonna have a faster time all the way through this section, because of course it's quite obvious the blue is gonna be faster on the exit. The purple is faster on the entry where you are right now, but for sure the blue is able to gain time overall. I believe overall is going to gain the blue. Always remember thinking the opposite in extreme. So if you were here, will you be faster or slower? I think you'll be slower. So try to make it extreme and try to be more to the left. I think that's going to pay off quite a bit. So let's keep going. We missed the apex quite a bit here. So for sure, if you were more to the left, you would apex easier. So here's for sure lots of time you could have found. We then end up getting close to this, even though that's not too close. I think we should have been more to the right hand side. Like again, look at that. Oh, the white line is scratched. You see it's scratched like that. It means so many drivers are going over here. They're placing their right hand tires here, whereas we're placing the tire like here. So I think we have but we can find alpha 10th in this corner. The previous corner we could have found more, like 1/10 or more. But this is also a bit of lap time to be found for sure. Using the whole track would give you a big advantage there. So, and also, I'm pretty convinced you can easily get away by smashing this curb. There's also a reason why they put this red cone. Is because for sure drivers have been trying to smash all of this and for sure gain massive amount of lap time. So to avoid cutting with 4 wheels, they put this cone. Hence, if I see this curb being very scratched and kind of black in some areas, it means drivers are just flying over this and you're not. So I think you have to pick up some confidence, mate, and just go full send over this. You're gonna gain a shit ton of lap time, believe me, for sure. and then you're gonna have to stay a bit close to the right hand side. I mean, inside of the white line as a minimum, because right now we don't seem to be perfectly, not even on the white line. So we have, in this, there's a few tracks I've encountered in my career where I have this kind of issue where there's like the white line and then there's a bit of a gap to the curb. And in those cases, you have to be the clever guy and be trying to put the tires not on the white line, but inside of the white line. So place the tire here, right? That's where you want to place it. At whatever point you're going to apex. I think you're apexing about in this area. I don't know. This seems to be late. This seems to be too early. So I think you're going to apex somewhere here and just going to be staying close to that. Or maybe a bit later and just going to be here. But you got to make sure you are inside of the white line. Let me see if I talk too early. Maybe you are actually making the apex. No, I think we don't really make it. And then we don't, we use, I think the track usage is quite good. For sure, if you use a bit more track, you would pick up a bit of mid speed, but the exit, look at that. There's a bit of tire pickup in this area, so I wouldn't use too much. I would get maximum to here. This is the maximum area. So all of that picks a lot of dirt on your tires. So I wouldn't really use it. I would put the left tires over here, which is almost exactly what you're doing. Probably not as much. We could put a bit more, and that's it. So, and that is your quickest lap, I believe, 51.5. Yeah. So, quite a few things improve. I'm a firm believer that by applying these track usage tips together with just mashing those couple of curbs, which comes down always to track usage, for sure you're gonna make a big improvements in your lap time. And just let me know how it goes.